Okay, hi. I have a question from Beth. What a doozy. That's an old word. Um, Quite a question here. Is in vitro, egg donor, sperm banks, surrogacy sin? I guess there's others too. You know, oh, wow. What a question. All right. So this is a great question. I would like to propose some ideas and then you just kind of work it out. Some things aren't absolutely clear in the Bible. There's a lot of things like that. Although God has given us enough in His Word to give us direction ethically, morally. And that's the question. It's about whether it's sin, right from wrong, moral issues here. It's not written out clearly about that. And when the Bible's silent about things, you've got to be careful not to put words in God's mouth, so to speak. So, nevertheless, there are some propositions I'd like to make. And I'm going to try and make this brief. And I would like to take all of them and put them in a clump. They're not really in a clump, each thing's different. Each thing can have its own particular scenarios, too. Let me just say this a couple things. One is all children are from the heritage from God. It's a gift from God. Notice I said gift from God. He doesn't give us all the same gifts. And he also doesn't give us always what we want because he knows his plan is better for us in the long term. And so there's reasons why we may not be getting pregnant. Okay. And this is how I would take it. I'm not putting this conviction on a woman here, on you becoming a mother, if you're asking about it, or maybe just asking a general question here for anyone, for anyone here. If God closed my womb, so to speak, then I'm not having it. This is what happened with Sarah and Hannah and Manoah's wife. It's oh, what's his name? Oh my goodness, the guy who was Samson, and just a number of cases. Elizabeth in the Old Testament, I mean the New Testament with Zechariah and Elizabeth. There's like 5 or 6 cases or something. Of course, now Abraham did a surrogate thing with Hagar, but was God pleased with that? Was it His will? I don't think so, by the way. But is that every case? It doesn't spell it out. So here's what I would like to suggest. If I was a woman, and don't take this like, well, you're not Gordon. I understand, I know, but I picture myself sometimes in a wife's position as a husband. I'd love to submit to a husband if I was a woman. It would be so wonderful to be able to submit. It's no problem there, etc. I'm getting off track. You know where I'm headed though? If God closed my womb, it would be difficult because I wouldn't want children. Maybe God is leading you to adopt. That's definitely a definite thing. If God closes your womb and you're not having a baby, maybe He wants some other children to be under your care as father or mother. That's a really high option, really noble option, and maybe that's why God's doing it. But then I know it's a different one. It's so tough. I'm not trying to be ruthless or cold or heartless in this. But if you're submitted to God, my personal opinion, ultimately, I'm not going to say it's sin for others, is I would just let it be in God's hands. And if He called me to celibacy, or like I'm single, or not celibacy, but if He called you to not childlessness, and maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe you're supposed to work with other kids. Maybe you're supposed to maybe you're supposed to give your life to some missionary work and wherever you are, wherever you live, or maybe somewhere else. So you just pour out your life in a bunch of other children and all. There's sacrifice, but I think God's ultimately in control of that. But then again, there's the other side of that. Well, if it's supposed to be just God and natural, I'm not having naturally, so I'm not supposed to do it. What about medicines? What about situations where we need surgery or we need medicine really badly? And we God has put in this earth natural means to have to take care of ourselves. In vitro, is a possibility. It's possible. Technologically, we've come to a point where we could do other things. So I'm just kind of skimming the surface here on this. But I would encourage you, number one, to really pray. The Bible says, if you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to men all liberally. What is His will for your life? What is His plan? and let him lead you on that. There's all sorts of problematic things around each of these scenarios. Everything from expense, oh my goodness, thousands and thousands of dollars, to the process of in vitro is just enormous, and what you have to go through, and it can hurt you. And I mean, there's a lot of issues all around that. So my suggestion is just trust God, have faith in Him, let Him lead you. Do pray about it. And I don't think it's necessarily sin because it's not spelled out as sin. That's my bottom line answer. Could be sin if you're not doing it to His glory and just doing it because you want to do what you want. That's sin. Everything, 1 Corinthians 10:31, and all through the Bible, we're supposed to do everything to His glory and for His honor, for His desires. What is His will? Your will be done on earth, not my will be done on earth. So anyway, I just don't want to, it's not that clear, so I'm not going to be that clear unless God clearly tells you what He wants you to do. I would just pray about it. If someone is looking at this and wondering about the ethics of it, and I would just trust God in His direction. I think that'll answer that. If there's more, if you want to write in comments, and I can talk about each of the scenarios more particularly if you want, or if you want me to do another part two, I can do a part two and talk about one more specifically, or maybe raise more questions and answers. I don't know. Hope that helps. So God bless you. Bye.